What is going on, everybody? I'm Paul Schmidt. Oh, welcome to Media Club. Sorry,
Welcome.
everybody but James is on location. Um, so a little discombobulated to start this Thursday's Media Club off. But thank you, welcome to another edition. This is our June 9th edition of Media Club, episode number, is it 10? Number 11? Which one is it? Number 10?
10
Oh,
indeed, yeah.
10
We've done 10 of these now.
indeed. So exactly. And so what we do here is we talk a little bit about who we are. We are Unaduce Multimedia. I'm the owner, Paul Schmidt, owner and creative video strategist. And we're going to talk a little bit about what we do here. Also, number two, talk about some of the things that entertain us and what we're paying attention to outside our walls. And number three, answer some media related questions. And so, like I said, I just introduced myself. I'm Paul Schmidt. Once again, I'm the owner. And who are you two wonderful people on this stream? We'll start with Nick.
Hi, I'm Nick. I'm the creative video architect at Unaduce. So I make all of the videos at Unaduce that are not live streams.
And I'm James. I'm the creative live stream alchemist. I create all the live streams and some of the videos.
Nice. All right. So live streaming, videos, video storytelling, podcasting. That is exactly what we do here at Unaduce Multimedia. But let's talk a little bit more in depth about those in our first segment. And so there we have it. Our first segment. What are we working on? So let's start with Nick this time around. Nick, what do you want to talk about today?
Yeah, so on Tuesday this week, we filmed the third episode of the Habitat ReStore Roadshow. That is I guess it's like a YouTube series that follows around Josh and James, who work at the ReStore here in Lansing. And the ReStore is kind of like a store that, kind of like a Goodwill Salvation Army type of store where people bring items or donate items there, and they resell them. So on Tuesday we followed them around to a bunch of different stops here in Lansing. I think it was like 6 or 7 stops. We just got to meet some of the people that were donating items, and just really showed the positive work that Habitat does in the community, and how these items really go to help the community. And a lot of the items that are donated are really high quality too. So this is our third episode. Hopefully we'll be doing more in the future. But yeah.
Nice. And when Nick says James, he's not talking about our James. It's Habitat's
Not
James.
me. Yeah, Habitat's James.
Habitat's James is the one that's in the show. And so, just to follow up on that, Habitat has been a client of ours for a few years. And so they approached us with this series last fall. And it's just really awesome. James and Josh are just amazingly gifted at being on camera for a couple of guys that, have just been working at Habitat. So I think that's really cool. And we decided to do it in like a, how do you put it? A kind of like Antiques Roadshow meets American Pickers type feel. That was how we wanted to like target it a little bit. And so I think they've been doing a wonderful job at kind of like incorporating that. And I can't wait to see this third episode. The first 2 episodes are on their YouTube channel and their Facebook right now. So if you've missed those, please check those out. You will not be disappointed. James and Josh have great personalities. So anyhow, in fact, another thing about that, ReStore Roadshow actually won a Ducey Award this past year for most entertaining video. So that is, in a nutshell, one of their first accolades, other than the fact that they're pretty popular. Anyway, so James, what are you talking about this week? What are you working on?
So this week I have been working on finalizing everything needed for the communities and schools of Michigan's annual Leadership and Education Dinner event live stream. It is a hybrid event, and that means we're going to be controlling the screens in person. We're going to be controlling the run of the show, the flow, as well as the virtual presentation for the virtual audience. This is a pretty big undertaking. It's one in a location that we haven't been in before. It's actually on the concourse of the Breslin Center in front of the big Sparty screen. If you've been to Breslin, you know the big Sparty screen. But with me, I'll have a four-person crew. I'll have George on audio. He's a past intern who we use a lot on live events because he knows his audio. He's an audio technician, engineer, pick your name. If it's audio, he knows it. We'll have Kat running the virtual show while I run the in-person show. And then we'll have another past intern, Daniel, who will be running the camera. He recently graduated from MSU, so that's very exciting for Daniel. And then just giving him some more field experience. But this event is a little bit different than our normal fundraising dinners or breakfasts because it's starting with a panel of 6 student support coordinators. Student support coordinators are essentially the front line of communities and schools. They're the ones that are in the schools, talking to the students, helping the students. And for them to give them this spotlight every year, because they did it last year as well, I just think it's a really good way for people to get to know communities and schools and to understand what their purpose is and what they're doing. And for us, this year, we're actually live streaming the panel as well. So that proposed a couple of problems audio-wise, but I talked with George and I talked with our rental company on stage, and we figured it out. We're getting an antenna relay. We're getting 6 wireless handheld mics. Everybody's gonna have their own frequency, and everything's gonna be great. But yeah, so this week I've primarily been working on this. I've been having last minute meetings, fine tuning the broadcasting software and getting everything where it needs to be, double checking with the rental company for load in, load out. And, hopefully come Monday, all the seats are filled and all the virtual attendees have a great time. That's pretty much all we can hope for.
No, I think that sounds really, really good. I mean, and the last year we've done this leadership in education dinner the last 2 years. The first time we did it, and that was the first big project we did with communities and schools. It was fully virtual, and it was just me on that one 2 years ago, and we've kind of really amped it up each year since. Last year was a hybrid event. This one, they really have gone all out for it because they see the value in how to present this, not just in person, but to their huge audience online, for the simple fact that their audience can't all make it to the in-person thing, and it is very, very important for them to really get that message out live. And it's on a Monday night. It's a good night to do it. Actually, I thought it was on a Tuesday because I think last year it was on a Tuesday. But
Last year it was a Tuesday, yeah.
Yeah, so I got mixed up on that one. But yeah, so check that out if you can, or if it's not available for you on the day of, there's always going to be a replay. So remember to check that out.
Yep.
Now, as for me, one of the things I'm working on right now, I know that I typically don't jump in here, but I want people to understand that we're making a huge shift in the Uno card videos program that we do. And so I'm really excited to roll that out soon. So pay attention or stay tuned to what's going to be happening in that space, because I'm really excited with the new addition that we're going to be adding to the Uno card in more of a physical way. So stay tuned for that. But on to the next part, in which we talk about what's entertaining us outside our walls. So, on to the next segment. And so, what we're watching or listening to, and so on. Who wants to go first?
I
All
can
right.
go first.
I was just going to say, James, you go first.
I'm gonna go first. So, over the past, I wrote a couple months, but actually over the past couple years, I've been very slowly watching this anime because I knew it only had one season. Uh, but I'm almost to the end of season one, and then Netflix dropped season two, so I feel like I'm allowed to talk about this now. I have been watching this show called Tiger and Bunny. Uh, like I said, for a long time now. Just an episode here or there, following the story whenever my interest gets back into anime. It's an anime from 2011 that follows superheroes in a futuristic city where they fight crime whilst promoting real life and fake sponsors. So in the show, you will see that their armor has it's all CG, right? The armor that they're showing in this little picture, but they'll have like logos across all the white spots that change dynamically over the course of the season when they get different sponsors. If you watch it on Netflix, all the real life sponsors have been taken out for sponsorship reasons, but it's just a really different thing that I really enjoy. The main two characters are Kotetsu, the guy on the right. He also goes as Wild Tiger, so he has the white and green mech suit in the back, and then Barnaby Brooks, who's on the left, aka Bunny, and he gets the red and pink and white suit. The Wild Tiger has been working as a superhero for a while and just isn't really popular anymore. So, towards the beginning of the first season, his agency actually pulls the sponsorship out from under him, and he gets teamed up with Bunny, a new rising star who seems to share the same power set that Tiger has. They have the exact same superpower, which means, I don't know, they decided to throw him as a duo. And it works really well because the older superhero is very brash and crass and like, I have to save these people. And Barnaby's like, but what about the ratings though? And now you guys are going to ask me, what are the ratings, James? Well, each of the city's most famous superheroes, Barnaby and Wild Tiger uh, included, work for a sponsor company, and their uniforms have the advertisements for those real life companies. Their heroic activity is broadcast on the most popular television show called Hero TV. So anytime there's a chase, anytime there's a bank robbery, anytime there's anything, Hero TV is on the scene highlighting these heroes. And when they save certain things, it's kind of like a reverse death race. They get points for saving people. So they're all in direct competition with each other trying to be the big hero. And I lost my spot in my notes, but I got this. And the best ranked hero of the season is crowned King of the Heroes. What I really enjoy about the show is how it plays with the story of superheroes and secret identities. Because when the cameras are rolling on Hero TV, they are always in that persona. But the minute those cameras are off, you're left with watching Barnaby and Wild Tiger deal with the drama and conflict of the organization of how all of this came to be and why heroes are sponsored and like the dichotomy of the superhero versus the person who they are. And I just love it, man. It's so cool to get like that inside look. I also love anything that has to deal with media as media. So like you follow the producer of Hero TV while you're following these guys. You follow the cameraman. It's just different. And notes. They have to live up to the sponsor's hopes, dreams, and ideals. And then there is one character in particular in the first season who she gets very sexualized as a hero.
Mm.
Like she wears a mini skirt and she's supposed to slide into frame and she has all these catchphrases and she's sponsored by Pepsi and she has to sing, she's an idol, like all this while still trying to do superhero things. Outside of her costume, it's like a big arc over the first season where she is questioning if being a superhero is worth all this hassle. for her to be able to do what she wants to do, which is sing. She originally wanted to be a singer. She developed superpowers. Now she's a superpowered singer, but she's like, is this worth it? And like, you see her in the very first episode in her superhero outfit, and you're like, I think I know everything that's going on with this lady. And then the minute you see her outside of her outfit, her hair's down, it's longer, she's wearing like big baggy sweaters and like khaki pants and just like trying to be a normal person. And it's just that dichotomy that I love in this show, because it explores all avenues of each character. And recently it got a season 2, but I haven't watched it yet because Stranger Things, which I'll probably be talking about next week. We might all be talking about it next week. But if it keeps showing the same dual stories, I know I'm gonna love season 2.
Well, it sounds really interesting, and I love the fact that you use the word dichotomy more than once. That's
It's a
pretty
good
good.
word. It's probably my
Yes.
favorite word when it comes to describing this show.
Well, it's a good word, and I'm interested. I like the concept. In fact, it reminds me of, and I know this is going to be a slight segue, is it does remind me of a more tamer version of The Boys. So, but before I go into any more of that, this is what Nick wants to talk about: is The Boys season 3.
Yeah. So The Boys season 3 just came out. It's just the first 3 episodes, and then it's gonna be weekly after that. Yeah. So I watched the first 3. For those who don't know, like, what The Boys is about, basically, in the pilot episode, there's this guy whose girlfriend is killed by a superhero, and from there on, you're kind of like ushered into this world of superheroes that aren't really good people. It definitely represents it definitely shows like the faults that, you know, superheroes would actually have if they were in reality. And then from there, you know, that guy's introduced to this guy named Butcher, who it's his whole mission to, like, you know, essentially like hunt down superheroes and like expose them for how, you know, terrible they actually are. So yeah, and then there's this company called Vought that essentially.
Oh, did he pause?
I think we may have lost Nick.
Okay. All right. Well, while Nick chimes back in, I'll go with mine, which is not superhero related. Uh, so, and it's Better Call Saul. Um, and if you previously watched Breaking Bad, this is a prequel to one of its most interesting characters from Breaking Bad, Saul Goodman, and we get the whole evolution of Saul Goodman because he's originally named Jimmy McGill. And so, how did he go from being Jimmy McGill to being Saul Goodman? How did he go from, point A to point B? And we lost Nick. So anyway, so that's where this show is. It is basically a prequel show that started in the past and leads up to Breaking Bad, and it just is at the mid-season break of its final season, which is season 6. And in my estimation, this show actually far surpassed Breaking Bad. You see some of the characters you were introduced to in Breaking Bad, but you're seeing, it's weird because it's an evolution of their character that has already been evolved. And so, but you're seeing it from a different point in time moving forward, and it's just excellently produced, excellently written, and the fact that they have these characters live in these producers or these showrunners heads, obviously, and have for the past going on what, 16 years or so, like 12 years, 12, 13 years plus. And it's just amazing to see this unfold. And what I really like about this season is the fact that you can feel the tension of how it's going to get to the part of when the characters, the main characters from Breaking Bad come into it, but at the same time, you're like, well, what is going to happen to the characters that we see in this show? Because they don't appear in Breaking Bad. What happened to them? And it's going to be like, and really looking at, but the same style, the same cinematographic style is part of the show. Albuquerque is definitely still. Actually, I would really Albuquerque was its own character. It felt like in Breaking Bad, and this one kind of like expands on a little bit more beyond that one place. It really because the characters are not originally from that area, and so it's all interesting and how they're building this life, because it's really about where they're coming from and building this life and going into this whole lifestyle that that they're in already, in Breaking Bad. But it's just a fabulous show. Like I said, we're at the mid-season break at this point in this last season, and it leaves you with your jaw dropped. Your jaw dropped on the last scene of the last episode, and you're like, oh my gosh. You kind of saw things coming, but at the same time, to see it unfold in real time was just incredible bout of writing. And so, but anyway, it just is like, it really, it's really, like I said, I think it far surpassed, well, maybe not far surpassed, but surpassed its predecessor, Breaking Bad, in a lot of different ways, especially in the characterizations and the evolution of the characters. So yeah, that's my pick for this week, Better Call Saul.
Question for you about Better Call Saul.
Yes.
If I never finish season 2 of Breaking Bad, and I know all of our fans are going to hate me for that, which means I don't think I ever met Saul, would it be a fun way to watch all of Better Call Saul into Breaking Bad?
I think that's a good question. And I think that watching it either way, you're going to get a lot from it. Either way, whether you watch it after, which the majority of folks have, or if you start with Better Call Saul and move in, I don't think you're going to miss out. I think you're going to be like, instead of it being a callback to characters that were already introduced, you're just going to be able to evolve with these characters as a whole new, I shouldn't say whole new, but as a continuing story arc. It's just wild how they did it. Seriously, you're going to be really
Would there be
impressed.
there's definitely going to be like a tonal shift at the end of Better Call Saul into starting Breaking Bad, though, right? Because the start of Heisenberg is different.
Yeah, I mean, it's a different journey. Honestly, it is a different journey, but it's the secondary characters. You're going to be like, oh, it's almost like it's a different tonal journey because you're following somebody else's viewpoint. However, the secondary characters, their journey is still the same. If that makes any sense, it's like a parallel.
Yeah.
And Breaking Bad is just now is kind of like that timeline is intersecting with the Better Call Saul timeline and vice versa. So it's like you're shifting from Saul to Walter White, and so it's just interesting. It's just an interesting thing of how they built this whole universe. When I say universe, this whole area of Albuquerque, New Mexico. And so,
Yeah, that sounds really good. I do want to try Breaking Bad again. I don't know, man. It's sitting there with Mad Men for me. I never finished that one either. But
well, I mean, I think Breaking Bad has more of a continual. Mad Men has some ups and downs that are pretty significant. There's some significant ups, significant downs. Breaking Bad is kind of like really even. It really keeps you at at a good pace. So anyway, well, those are our picks for this week. The Boys, Tiger and Bunny, and Better Call Saul. We highly recommend all of those. But now we have an interesting question that James wants to dive into in our Q&A section.
Yeah, so a question. Oh, you on it?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay, so a question that I've been asked recently and in the past, basically anytime anyone wants to start a podcast, they ask me the question, what kind of microphone do I need for a podcast? What are your thoughts, Paul?
My thoughts. Well, I mean, if you're going to do a podcast, most people are thinking of audio first. And so, like you said, what kind of microphone do you need? What kind of gear do you should start out with? Well, you need to start out with a really good microphone. And really good microphones aren't necessarily super expensive, but at the same time, you need to maybe invest into one slightly. Like the one that I typically use, obviously, I'm not using it on this broadcast because I'm in my car with headphones on. But it's a blue, I'm sorry, a Yeti. I don't know if it's. I wish I could hold it up, but it was like $100, and I think it gives really really good sound. It's the company is really known for affordable audio, and that's a good start. It plugs right into your computer, and also it gets picked up on your sound devices when you plug it in, so it can automatically switch to that. I use that for this show, Zooms, anytime anytime I'm going to be on the internet or broadcasting. I think that's a really good starter microphone right there. I mean, you can go up from there.
And that's a USB microphone, right?
It is a USB microphone so that it can plug directly into your. I mean, there's other ways we've done it in the past where we plugged actual handheld mics into a device that plugs into the computer, and that can give you. But that goes more into the pricier realm. That's about that would be a total of between $200 and $300 for all of that.
However, if you already have a soundboard and a way to connect your capture device to the computer, I would go with an Audio-Technica AT2020. That is an XLR mic, but it is a very good pickup pattern for podcasting. It'll just pick up what's right in front of you, so you just get real close to it if you want. Obviously, I also use a headset. I'm using a headset right now on this podcast. This one's just a HyperX Cloud 2s. I also have a Logitech G Pro that I use in my my other office. But there's a lot of options for headsets. I agree with Paul. Yeti's a good starting point, especially for that $100 range. If you are going to spend a little bit more and you want to keep the microphone cost about the same, I would go with the AT2020. Those are $99 on Amazon out the door. But again, you have to have either a Scarlett or a soundboard or something to connect it to your computer. But if you're just recording onto a Tascam, like we do that for most of our audio on shoots, you could just plug your 2020 directly into that and just record it like that on mobile, on the move.
And now what James is saying, the Scarlett is a device. I don't know. I can't remember the name of the company that makes a Scarlett.
It's a Scarlett.
Okay. So that's the name of it. You can buy there's different versions of it depending on your price point. And then he also mentioned Tascam, which is a digital audio recorder that runs on, AA batteries, at least the ones that we use. And so that's a good situation for that as well. So, I mean, there's different pieces of there's different devices you can always use. There's always the Zoom, which is another audio device, similar to a Tascam. Depends on your price points, depends on what you're comfortable with, but those are good ways to start from $100 on up to about $300 to $400. Starting, obviously, you can spend a lot more on it. It all depends on, but this is about, the question was about starting a podcast, and you have to look at what you should never do is allow price to dictate launching your podcast. If you want to launch it, make sure your content is good, and then just start, because then you can practice, you can get into the realm, into the flow. We talked a little bit about this last week on developing a YouTube channel. It's the same thing when it comes to podcasting. You have to allow yourself time to grow into talking about your content, delivering that content, being consistent with it, and so on and so forth. You got to give yourself grace. Most folks do not go through a whole training on being a broadcaster. So you have to learn how to go with that flow, and how to keep your voice, how to do your voice. So anyway.
Real quick before we wrap up, I did look up the Scarlett. It is a Focusrite Scarlett. So it is a Focusrite product.
Yep. There we go. Focusrite. So if you have any questions about that or anything that we have talked about, please drop us a line. If you want us to talk about a specific question that you have, email us at info@uniduce.com, put in the subject header, mission control question, media club question. Mission control is our podcast. So don't do that. Well, I'll answer that on a different program. But yeah, find us on uniduce.com. And don't forget, if you miss the live show when it happens, you can always catch the replay on our YouTube channel or the following week on our blog. So once again, for James and Nick, I'm Paul Schmidt, the owner and creative video strategist for Uniduce Multimedia. Thank you for tuning in. See you next week. Have a good one.
See you next time.